Yeah, like she
couldn't
couldn't
know absolutely
she
that
couldn't
it's
be
not the
mistaken.
son.
Yeah.
It's going to be Peter Fabiano. Joan had also apparently driven Goldine past their house several times so she'd recognize the house and not go to the wrong door.
That's so messed up.
Yeah. Like I said, they both started talking about how to murder him, and it wasn't as much like, oh, I could just kill him. Oh, gosh, wouldn't it be great if this person was hung up by their little toesies? You know, it was definitely like, well, we could put him in the car and then just push the car off a road. No, but that won't work. Okay, we could poison him, but how would we get to his food? And then continuously until they finally settled on utilizing a gun. Mm-hmm. Joan had given Goldine money to go purchase a pistol, and Goldine and a male friend had gone and gotten one for her. She said at the time that it was for home protection, which I guess she's living at her house by herself. She doesn't really have anyone there, I guess. I'm not a gun person, but I could see how people would prefer to have it.
Yeah, like, no, I have female friends that keep guns in their houses.
Yes, you do. After she had gotten the gun, she had gone to a separate place that Joan drove her to in her neighbor's borrowed car to buy 2 bullets.
Just
Why?
2?
I get how you could be like, well, if I'm at home by myself and I just fire a gun openly, and if it doesn't hit them, it at least will scare them.
Don't those usually come in boxes?
Yes. You can apparently buy them separate, but also, yeah, they come in boxes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
All right,
know.
whatever.
Girl, I don't know. Goldine, on the night of the murder, was driven once again by Joan to the Fabiano residence. She was given clothing by Joan, and it consisted of...
Oh, fuck. Oh my god, tell me she was a witch. Tell me she was a witch.
She wasn't. So Joan gave her a Halloween costume. It was jeans, a khaki jacket, a hat, red gloves, face paint, and a domino mask, which I didn't know what that meant. Apparently, it's like the old school superhero masks. So just basically like a black, or think like the Incredibles.
Yeah, just like
Those masks.
across the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, Robin, the Incredibles. Like I keep calling it a superhero mask. Or like Zorro. Mm-hmm. Basically all of those rolled into one. That's apparently what a domino mask is.
That doesn't even sound like a good costume.
It's not. But Fabiano didn't know Goldine at all. No clue. She's never seen her. She's never worked at the salon.
God, can we just exude a little more effort, please?
It's the 50s, so, I mean... They waited outside the residence until the lights went out. About 11 o'clock, we did talk about that a little bit earlier. But they actually left her house at 9 and just stared at the house until the lights were out. What are you doing? That's 2 hours to be done. Like, 2 hours to be like, this is a poor choice. 2 hours to be like, oh, there's kids walking past me in costumes. I should probably go home. This is weird. But no, that's clearly not what happened.
I mean, clearly.
It says that Goldine was really shaky and she was very nervous. But the shot was a real good shot for being shaky and nervous.
And you have to be pretty confident to only feel like you need 2 bullets.
She walked up to the door holding a paper bag with the gun inside and then rang the doorbell. When Peter had come down, he said, "It's a little late for this, isn't it?" Mm-hmm. And she said no and immediately shot him. Apparently she braced the gun with both hands, but also, I get it, you're bracing it with both hands, but if you're shaking, it's still not gonna fly straight directly underneath his heart. That's a pretty good shot for nervous.
Well, first off, you should always hold a gun with 2 hands.
Yeah, so it doesn't whack you in the face.
But she would have been pretty close to him, right?
Yeah, if you're standing, you had to open the door. He's standing a couple feet back from the door, I would assume.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're standing in front of me at the door, like, I could probably shoot you in the chest pretty easy.
Are you threatening me?
Well, not like you specifically, because I would never shoot you, because I love you.
You heard it here first.
But
I'm
like,
being threatened.
but like, if I was going to shoot somebody, like, just like in theory, I feel like I could make that happen from that close of a range.
Goldine had gone back to the car. Joan kissed her and said thank you. Drove back home. They both burned their clothes.
All right. Okay.
Returned the car. And before they went their separate ways, Joan had told Goldine, quote, "Forget you ever knew me." After that, Goldine had realized that she still had the 38 and then rented the locker and left the gun there.
Not smart. Okay. You live in LA, right?
Yep.
Throw it in the ocean, man.
The ocean is not that close to LA proper, sir.
I mean, it's a drive, but like, it's worth it to dispose of the evidence.
She got nervous.
Bury it. I don't know. Don't leave it in a locker at a department store.
Goldine later said, quote, "She told me that Mr. Fabiano was a vile, evil man. A man who destroyed everything around him. She told me he mistreated his wife and that he was dealing narcotics." Bitch. Joan, of course, said she was not a party to any of this, which, girl, what? Joan had remained completely silent, but did obviously obtain a lawyer. Everyone had described in any press the relationship between Betty and Joan, and the relationship between Goldine and Joan as, quote, abnormal.
Because the gays. Oh, they're gaying it up.
Gaying it up. Also, random fun fact, just because Carolyn is from there, and obviously Andrew, and Liz, not that they'll ever hear this, but Goldine was born in Rockford.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I was like, hey, we go there sometimes.
Yeah.
After it was discovered that Joan had concocted this entire scheme, a lot of people started assuming that it may have been to get back in Betty's good graces or to be the shoulder to cry on and maybe segue into some sort of relationship. Additionally, they thought that Betty might have concocted this scheme with Joan and Goldine to get Peter out of the way. It's weird, too, because there is a record that there was a Betty Fabiano that was in jail, but I can't imagine what she was in there for, because I found nothing of her going to trial or being convicted of anything, so I think it is probably a different one.
Yeah. I mean, I would think so, because it sounds like this is all pretty much on Joan and Goldine.
Yeah, it's not good. Betty had said during trial that it sounded like a man was impersonating a woman when the voice came to the door.
Or maybe a woman was impersonating a man.
It could go both ways, or she was upstairs.
She heard him okay, though, right? Because she heard him say the whole thing about, isn't it kind of
But he
late?
was also in the house. You know what I mean? It's not outside of the house.
But she would have only been like a few feet away.
So if Goldine thought that they maybe could be together, then she was just super cool about just shooting a dude and then being like, oh, peace out, Cub Scout. Our time is done. You know? I kind of feel like she may have been the anonymous call.
I can't get past the whole, yes, let's commit murder together type of situation.
I mean, there's that too. But still, like...
She was bewitched. You know, she was enamored. So that makes it okay, obviously.
Here's the other thing, too. Sometimes Goldine is referred to as Miss Fixer, which I kind of think is someone trying to be kind of demeaning.
Miss Fixer?
Yeah, I think she's the quote-unquote fixer. Like, she's fixing the issue. I'm starting more and more to think that, like, maybe Goldine was like, I feel guilty. Here's a weird thing. There's a lockbox in a department store specifically.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about, did they ever find out who placed the phone call?
No, it's still marked as anonymous, but like I said, I kind of think it was Goldine.
You know, if we didn't commit murder, we'd have nothing to feel bad about. Just throwing it out there.
No kidding. They had both gone to trial, and the lawyers had met with both of them and the police in one specific area, which normally if you are in some way associated with a crime, you know what I mean? Like if you're associated with a crime and it's with another person, normally they would separate you to make sure that your stories don't intermingle and that you can't influence the other one to make it different.
Yeah.
Obviously, since Goldine was like, no, seriously though, this lady's a nutbag. I am feeling kind of dumb right now because I fell under this whole premise of what was happening and it probably wasn't. And now I super screwed up my life.
But they had them together?
They had them meet together with their lawyers. So, whatever. But they did get convicted, and then it was pled down. It's weird, too, because apparently at this time, it was said that judges were being too harsh during their sentencing.
Because they were ladies?
No, it was before that. The secondary portion of it, specifically for this trial, is because they were both ladies. And, ladies can't do this.
Well, I mean,
you can't do that, I guess.
Maybe they did, but obviously we don't punish them the same way that we punish men.
Yeah, because ladies are soft and can't do things.
They're like peaches, apparently.
Bruise really easily. A little fine coat of fur on the outside.
But a hard, ugly core in the middle.
I mean, you just described me, and that's okay. They had pled down to second-degree murder, both of them, in 1958. They both supposedly died in prison, but I saw that Joan kind of disappeared, so I'm not sure if she died in prison or she was released under like an assumed name. Mm-hmm. Goldine continued to live out her life after she had gotten out. Because it was second-degree murder, they were both sentenced to 5 years to life in prison. Obviously, we talked about this. Ladies, they're so soft. They can't do that long.
Did they both get second-degree murder? Even though this this was like crazy premeditated?
Yeah, no, it's crazy premeditated. Yup.
Whatever.
It's insane.
So stupid.
And this, like I said, was in 1958. Apparently, Goldine was released a few years later. Some people said that she had tried to plead insanity, but I saw no record of that. No idea. She continued to live in LA until 1998, when she died at age 83. I feel like it's a strange turn of events, and I would hate to be Betty. Like, not only did you lose your husband, but now it's, even if they weren't together, even if she and Joan weren't, like, messing about or doing anything, even that, if you had done that to my person, I would murder you.
I just can't get around the whole, like, okay, it's gonna sound so stupid. I can't get around the costume. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. It's not a huge deal. I get it.
It's the 50s, but I was really hoping for one of those, like, really, now they're really creepy, where people are like, ugh. You know what I'm talking about? The old, like, the blow form masks?
Oh, yeah, like the plasticky looking ones?
They're terrible.
Yes, so, like, so I can't get around that, first off.
Yeah, love those.
Because, like, I just wanted there to be more artistry involved.
Yeah.
But also, I can't get around the whole, well, let's think about, like, the best way to do this to get away with it. No, we're literally just gonna ding-dong ditch him.
It wasn't a terrible plan. It honestly, like, had, once again, I keep thinking it was Goldine that was like, I feel guilty. And was like, she was the only person that would have known.
Yeah, I'm surprised, too, that, so they parked in front of the house.
Yeah.
And they were there for, like, hours, right?
Hours.
I'm surprised that nobody on the street had noticed the car.
There's a random new car on the street.
For hours.
And there's two humans sitting in it, staring at a house and waiting for lights to go out. That's wackadoodle.
Yeah, and, you know, so it was the 50s. It was a different time.
I know, but, like, okay, so people park on my street constantly, clearly. And every single, like, both myself and my roommate are like, who are you? Why are you here? There's a business next door. That's why they're here. Mm-hmm. But why are you here?
And I don't know if I feel like in the 50s they would have been more aloof and like, oh, it's nothing, or if they would have been more like, this is our neighborhood. Who's parked outside?
I mean, in LA, I don't know which part of LA they were in.
I know that there's an ocean somewhere, apparently, that's not close. But that was really good. That was really good.
Lesbian.
I have a big lesbian crush on you.
Thank you, Ty. That means a lot.
I would kill for you.
Ooh, that was a face.
That was a scowl. Yeah, and I'm loving your Halloween stories.
Halloween.
Yes, I'm so fucking hashtag freaky for fall.
God,
I'm into it. Sexy for Samhain.
I hate you.
I'm really excited to tell my story, but it's a place that I don't want to visit. It's not on my list. I'm going to talk about Goatman's Bridge.
Oh, down south?
In Texas, yeah. It's actually called the Old Alton Bridge. Built in 1884, the historic Iron Truss Bridge connects the Texas cities of Denton and Copper Canyon. The bridge originally helped travelers by horseback and then eventually automobile cross over the Hickory Creek below. So like I said, the bridge's real name is actually Old Alton Bridge. Mm-hmm. The name Old Alton Bridge is taken from the abandoned community of Alton that was nearby way back in the day, but it dissipated and it's not a thing anymore. Although there is an Alton, Texas, it's just different.
Not there, yeah.
The bridge actually remained in use all the way up until 2001, when traffic then started being directed through an adjacent steel and concrete bridge. And just to paint a picture of what the original bridge looks like, it's an incredibly narrow single-lane bridge. So when it was in use, it could only accommodate one car at a time. So,
right, which always horrifies me.
Yeah, it's...
Because sometimes you cannot tell that someone is crossing.
Exactly. So cars would actually have to honk before they would drive onto it.
It's like alleys in Chicago.
Well, Katrina and I had to cross an old covered bridge when we went to that wedding a couple summers ago, and that was terrifying for me because I was just like, what if somebody comes, like, and I have to back all the way through this again?
Just do like 2 quick beeps. Hey man, I'm coming out of this alley. Please don't hit me.
I'm coming out.
Yeah.
Please don't hit my car.
Oh my goodness.
As of July 8th, 1988, it is included in the National Register of Historic Places. Locally, the bridge is known as Goatman's Bridge. It gets its moniker from stories of a demonic entity who's said to inhabit the nearby woods and is particularly fond of that bridge.
Okay.
So the story goes something like this, or at least the most popular version of it goes like this. At some point in August of 1938, an African-American man named Oscar Washburn, along with his family, had a farmstead somewhere near the bridge. They were actually pretty well known in the area for having top-notch quality milk, cheeses, meat, and hides. Because so many people sought after the Washburns' produce, in an effort to help patrons find their way to the farmstead, Oscar placed a sign on the bridge that read something to the effect of, "This way to the Goat Man." So the KKK in the area had, I know, that's never a great way to start a sentence, is it? So the KKK were apparently already plotting something awful for Oscar Washburn, but when members of the Klan saw the sign on the bridge, they got really upset. It had made them decide that they wanted to put their plans into effect sooner rather than later.
Okay.
So late one evening, the Klansmen dragged